Welcome to our weekly new global media talk show. Today is November 9th, 2025. Today we have a guest who will be joining us shortly. His name is Ebrima Jatta. Ebrima Jatta is the spokesperson for Golden Era Party, G.E.P. And then our discussion topic will be what is different about the Golden Era Party. So Ibrahima is on his way to the house from Masjid, and he will join us shortly. Before that, we will just look at the whole political spectrum and how we can effectively conduct political affairs in the Gambia, especially when it comes to political parties. We see the emergence of many political parties, and we need to look at how effective these parties they could be in winning elections, and what are the drawbacks of just having fewer party contesting elections, and of course what are the plus for having two major parties contesting elections and perhaps having independence if need be. So I have my co-host here, Sam Ceesay. Sam, welcome to the show, and I'm your host here, Momodou Sawaneh in New York. Sam, we have seen the emergence of many political parties, and it looks like it's gonna be as many as probably 20 or 30 by the end of the year, or by perhaps the mid of next year.
Yep.
How do you think this will play out, especially when we are out here to face the incumbents who is going on a third term? What is your
Yep.
thought on that?
Yep. I think Gambia is heading in a direction that is probably not good for us. It's really not going to change a whole lot because with all these political parties merging, it just creates more confusion for Gambians because at this point Gambians don't know who to trust. I mean, we have so many people out there. We don't know who's going to deliver. We don't know who to trust. There's not been any presidential debate so that Gambians can know about people that are running for the office of the president. Like I suggested before, we really needed to have that. But I think at the end of the day, the solution to that is for our National Assembly to change the IEC Act. We already know there should be electoral reform already. And as part of that electoral reform, I think they should also amend the laws to make sure that Gambia. This is just a suggestion, is my opinion. I know everybody has their opinion; they have right to their opinions, and somebody may say something different. But I think, you know, going anywhere from 2 to 4 party system would be enough for Gambia. If they can amend the laws to allow Gambia to have anywhere between minimum of 2, maximum of 4 political parties in the country, I think will really bring an impact. It will bring it closer to all of these parties going out in different directions, different people coming to try to be president, even though some of them already know that they're not going to win. Uh, again, to avoid the confusion for Gambians, to narrow things down and holding the political leaders accountable is best to focus on anywhere between 2 to 4. Gambians cannot listen to all 16, 17, or 18 party leaders talking. I mean, for Gambians to see what their agenda is, it will be best to narrow it down to just very few parties if we put a law in place, and also to regulate the IEC as part of their reform. And when that happens, then what others need to do is every every candidate that wants to be president will need to look at their values and the core values of their core values and the core values of other parties, the existing parties, or within the 2 to 4 parties, and see who aligns with them and go join that party. Now, when they join that party, they will still have a chance to be a flag bearer there, because once they join that party as part of their rules, then what would happen is all parties will do what UDP did this year, which was history for Gambians, because normally when it's time for flag bearership, if you look at UDP in the past, it's always been one person, right? It's always been double, 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 double. This year, they had up to what, 10 or 11? I don't know how many people all put their names in the hat there to be presidential candidates. And then they went into primaries. So if we have 2 to 4 party system in the Gambia, and anybody that wants to be a presidential candidate, you align yourself with one of the parties that really mirrors your values, and join that party. And during the flag bearers, during their Congress or flag bearership selection, they can elect to be part of that, and have that party do primaries, primary elections, and whoever get elected there will be their flag bearer. So that way they still get a chance, but the chances are narrowed down from a party level, from between to become a flag bearer. I think they have a better chance doing that one than sitting on their own in a small party, not even 1,000 people in the party, or maybe 1,000, maybe too small, but not even 100,000 people, and want to go for presidential candidate, and getting a 1% vote off the country, from the whole country, or less than 1%. I mean, that's a disgrace to me. That's a disgrace. Is there is a better way of doing everything. So I think if they do that, will give us a chance, and will give them a chance. But most importantly, the voters will have a chance to narrow their search to only 4 candidates maximum. And those 4 candidates maximum that get selected from, like I said, 2 to 4 parties, they will have to go to primaries. And that should be part of the amendment that they're going to do to IEC Act, right? They will go to primaries also, sorry, a presidential debate. Those 4 candidates from each of those parties go to a presidential debate. This is what's going to help Gambians. This is what's going to help the taxpayers. This is what's going to help the majority of the people identify who is the best fit for us, and then vote for that person. So we don't select somebody or vote for someone by mistake. So I'll stop here for a minute. Go ahead. Back to
Okay.
you.
Yeah, that sounds good. It appears that two-party system is a system where switch of power could occur,
Yep.
balance of power. If you look at even in the West here, let's say
Mm-hmm.
in the United States, we have the
Yep.
Democrats and then the Republicans. And so
Yep.
if you look at the switch of power when the Republicans parties are not doing well, guess what happened?
The
People
Democrats take over. Yeah.
take over.
Yep.
So the independent voters are always looking at those they can trust to serve
Yep.
them better. And of course, the party, the party militant or surrogates who believe in the principle of the particular party will not move. However, there are tendency that when the party is not doing well, then the swing voters will change courses, and
Yep.
that's the beauty of being an independent person. That means you're not totally bonded by one party's belief. So
Yep.
this will help a lot because the incumbent, there won't be any incumbency or a power of incumbency or an advantage of incumbency, because if you have two major parties that are well established, there is a force, right? There's always a force. You have the lobbyists, and then there's a force that will empower one party. And of course, when that party is not doing well, the force will switch to the other one. And this is why you see that there is a balance of power. But if you have so many parties in the mix, Let's say you open the door and say anybody can contest, anybody can form a political party and come into the race. Then the tendency are the field will be flooded with various small groups or parties that will be fighting one another or kind of like trying to grab voters while the incumbent will be solidifying its base and be in a better position to win elections. So unless and until the rest of the opposition comes together in a coalition, there will always be struggle for them to unseat the incumbency. And that's why we see like some presidents will live or will be leading for so many years in power because there's no challenge. The power is only guaranteed with them. Now, I know some people would say this is not democracy. If you say democracy, you should allow everybody to exercise their will. Yes, that is true. But we have to also look at how we can change and become more effective as people and as a society. If we know that politics is the driving force or is the one that leads to where we need to be and bring changes, I think that area should be really revisited. You don't have to say you should have only two parties, but at least there should be a system in place to encourage, to make it possible that two solid party can survive in this system or in this situation. Therefore, if people want to be flag bearers or they want to be, they want to be presidents, they have to climb through the ladder in these parties. They have to go in there and then sell themselves or help the party, and then they will climb through the ranks to lead those parties. So this is the way I think Gambian now is supposed to think. Now, what are the benefits of all these parties? Imagine there might be benefits there, Sam. You and I might not know. There might be
Yep.
benefit
Well,
related to finances, finance. There might be benefit related to getting ministry position when there's a coalition, getting to be visible, to be known, and then perhaps to to be selling oneself so that you can be viable out there. So some people are not known or are not noticed, but once they jump into the political arena, now they become visible. Now they become the talk of the the media and other outlets. So I think these are probably the motivating factors that are causing these folks to create their own parties. But look, what ended up happening? We have seen CA. CA joined Barrow and many other small entities. What ended up happening? We have seen military ministry position. I'm not trying to just pick up that only that one person. I mean, by one party leader, but many party leaders as such. So, in to sum up, I think the National Assembly should look into that, raising the fees to be a flag bearer or to be like a political party. Yeah, it's kind of like a deterrent to minimize the numbers of people coming in, but it's still not a solid way. I think we should look at this. Our National Assembly should look at it and try to create a system where two major parties, if anybody want to emerge in the political field, you go to one of them. And they have to have they have to be parallel. Like they have to have ideology, political ideology, two political ideology. If some want to be a left, or conservative, you go to this other party. If you want to be on the left, you go to this other party. Then we can have a space for independence. But for independence also to exist, they have to show they have the potential. Not every Tom, Dick, and Harry. You cannot even manage, a household, and you want to manage the country. So there must be some kind of like a benchmark that these folks need to show, and the financial benchmark should also be a criteria. These independent entities that would be floating out there, but it should be in a way that it shouldn't be many. So that way, people have a choice to change government. One government isn't there, guess what? You'll not be live. People are not satisfied with you, they switch. Lobbyists will be looking at, you know, this government is not delivering, let's go to this other one. So, and I think we should also try to encourage lobbies in the Gambia. In Gambia, we call them, people who are corrupt. It's not like that. We have to have, we have to remodel our politics so that Sam, if you want to lobby, you shouldn't be looked at as a crime. You want government, you want to put money somewhere, and you want have an agenda to sell. That shouldn't be look like corruption, because in the West, if you look at it, it is acceptable, and it has worked. It has make people to sift power. It has make these independent people to sell their ideas with these political parties, and they become sponsor of them. And we should also be able to have super PAC, like super PACs and other businesses that are willing to put money. It should all be transparent and legal, because you know what, they're all we're all citizens, right? If I feel like I want UDP, and I feel like they can promote my agenda, I can give them a super PAC if I have the money. It can be a super PAC, and that should be purely legal. So all these things we need to revisit and bring it to light. But I'm gonna stop here. I know this area is a lot of thinking to do, but I think we should have a special topic on this, Sam, another day, so that we can really exploit it. But I think our guest is here.
Okay, yep. If the guest is here, let's bring him on, and we'll get to that topic. Yes, definitely. This is an interesting one, but we can look deep into it and really expand it, and talk about advantages and disadvantages and things like that. But let's welcome the guest.
All right. So thank you so much, Sam, for that. But that was a good kickoff. So
Yep.
we have our guest here. Our guest is Ebrima Fati. I mean Jatta. So Ebrima is the spokesperson for Golden Era Party, GEP, Golden Era Party. And our topic today is what is different about the Golden Era Party, GEP, ahead of 2026 election. What is different about the Golden Era Party, GEP, ahead of the 2026 election? Ibrahim, welcome. Ibrahim, we can hear you. I think you are muted. You can have to unmute.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you very much, gentlemen, Mr. Sam Ceesay and Dr. Momodou Sawaneh. I must just extend the gratitude for having me on this very platform. It is an opportunity for me to also, to some extent, sell the agenda at a sellable price to the Gambian people and all the viewers on this platform. As earlier introduced, I am Ebrima Jatta, and I am the spokesperson of the Golden Era Party. And again, it is a privilege to be here, and I extend the same greetings to the viewers on this platform.
Very good, very good. So, Ibrahim
Welcome.
Jatta, I'm pretty sure your party will send you, we'll drop you the link on a chat or on an email, so you can share it
Okay?
with your party members to watch you explain this new formation that you came with, because we are in a political era, political season, and Golden Party is just new. Golden Era Party is new, and we have UMC just emerged, and other new young folks coming up. So this is would be a platform for you to sell your party as a spokesperson.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Now, what is tell us what is Golden Era Party and what does the name symbolize or means?
Okay, the idea was born out of the frustration of many Gambians home and abroad that do not really believe that their wishes and aspirations still resembles the government that claims to represent them today. Out of the frustration of young Gambians, women, and also diasporians, um, the intention to build a new political party was developed by the party leader, His Excellency, would be Excellency Ceesay. And then when the idea was told to young people like me with the Golden Line agenda, we embraced the idea because it really reflects our wishes and aspirations as young people of this country. And it is a belief that I hold that our wish as young people also to some extent is a wish shared by those that we will succeed, which is our parents and also Gambians that have the willingness in them and the patriotism and the sense of nationalism to improve our conditions as citizens.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Now, as a spokesperson for this particular political party, tell
Yeah.
us what are the aims and objective, or why is this party different from UDP, from DOI, from MPP, from Sobea, and all the other parties in the Gambia? Why should people be voting or considering voting for your party? And what are your agendas? If you can just streamline some of the key areas.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Doctor. First of all, what is shared by all parties in the Gambia here, that is parties on the opposition realm, is the need to change the current government. But what we bring different in that unitary um, fold, which is the opposition realm, is our ability to explain, implement the policies that we brought to bear. And what we've learned from reflections from the history of this country's politics, especially from those that are at the opposition, have a score of years ago. That is the time, exact time that which the current government is in power, that is 10 years ago. All the oppositions that we have seen share the same approach, and the same approach have not been working for them in 2 elections. So from our perspective, there is a need to develop a new political party with a different approach, with a different manner of politicking, because we determine that if truly the oppositions that are present here, forgive me, I may not name parties or opposition parties like you do, but let the understanding be shared that I refer to the same political entities. The difference that we have with them is approach. And what we've learned from their existence in this past 10 years is because they have been here and they have been conveying a certain type of politics, but this has never been impactful enough to change the current government. But we know too well, as they know, that the current government no longer reflects our wishes and aspirations as a people. We all have policies, but what we have as opposition parties before the Golden Era Party is policies that do not explain effectively and efficiently how those policies would be implemented. What we brought to bear, which is different from the oppositions that have been here, is to explain in clarity the manner in which all our policies would be implemented from each and every level of governance. Every level of governance, there is a specific explanation as to why and which role would every office, every ministry, every department, and every agency of government would play towards the attainment or the achievement of a policy that we brought forward. We think this was absent with the oppositions that we had here. So, and this is an adjustment that we have identified that we have to make as a political party, which we bring forth. Another difference that we have with the rest of the oppositions is that before we even expose ourselves or unveil ourselves as a political party to the Gambians, we first went on a perception survey. We asked Gambian citizenry, home and abroad, we tour the length and breadth of this country. We've asked questions, even from Gambians from the forgotten corners of our country. Is there a need for a new political party? If yes, what kind of identity would that political party hold? What would be you as an individual or a group or a community? What would be an ideal mood of social organization acceptable for you? Then from these questions and the responses that we gather from these citizens, we developed our Golden Nine agenda, which is a foundation upon which the Golden Era Party rests, from the wishes, aspirations, desires of the Gambian people. This is something that was absent. We may develop policies, but these are policies that we developed before. I'm talking about political parties or opposition parties that existed before. Yes, all of them have their policies, but this is a belief that without consultation, they develop these policies in the absence of consultation because understandably these policies are intended to impact positively the lives of the Gambian people home and abroad. But if you do not question, if you do not gauge their perceptions as to what would be an ideal policy, the policy becomes little or holds little or no meaning at all. This is what we have identified and adjusted from that gap. Then we ask questions and also develop policies out of that. So in essence, the manner in which we developed our policies from the people's perception is at the fulcrum of our difference with the other opposition parties.
Okay. All right. So I will, before I let Sam come in, these policies that you are talking about, we need to hear them. Um, that are different. Some of them, if you can remember them,
Yeah,
and then
yes,
you
sure.
get it from the perception of the people about how this should be governed, or maybe what's their concerns and so forth. So if you can just highlight some
Yeah,
of these policies or some of these areas
yeah.
that you think are new, and then that would think would give you an edge over others.
Yeah, thank you very much, Doctor. Maybe there may be some similitude in the names of the policies to some of the ones that are within the opposition parties and policies, but we do give detailed explanation of its implementation. Among our Golden Nine agenda, there is quality education for all, and also there is accessible and affordable healthcare. There is economic empowerment and job creation. There is also agriculture and food security. There is infrastructure and develop and digital transformation, good governance and the rule of law, youth and women empowerment, energy independence and sustainability, and finally global branding and positioning. So if you look at all these nine agendas, it is a coalition of all the perceptions of the Gambian people that we have gathered before we even introduce this party to the Gambian people. Primarily, when you look at quality education for all, yeah, it is an agenda of both the current government and the opposition to enhance and empower education. But the kind of education that we have here today is
We are
not
not
really
seeing we are
reflective,
not seeing your face. I don't know if your camera is off.
or perhaps that's it, or maybe okay.
Yeah, and if you can put some light on your where you are, that would be good. But go ahead.
Uh, the light is on. Maybe not as bright as where you are, but the light is on here. Maybe that
Okay,
too
no worries. No
is a
worries. I
reason
mean,
why.
you are a spokesperson, so you want to be at any opportunity you have. You want to be as more visible than even me and Sam. But
Exactly. I think that is also a reason why we should oust this current government because they cannot even give us energy that is enough to brighten my position on this very program. So,
Okay.
like I was saying,
Mhm.
let me shift a bit, perhaps maybe. How is it
Okay,
now?
so we can see you, but yeah, and lift your head up a little bit. Yeah, yeah, because I think
Oh,
you're
okay.
good, good, perfect. You're still
Oh,
not
okay.
black bright enough, but it's
Okay.
okay. We can see you. Yeah. Go ahead, continue.
Okay. Now to explain a few of our policies, one of which is quality education for all. Like I was saying, it is true that it is it is an intent or a supposed intent of the current government and some opposition parties to strengthen and empower education. But you cannot empower and strengthen education by maintaining the type of education that we are here. And you think improving on educational infrastructure alone is what is geared towards improving education in this country. What we are bringing forth as a political establishment is a total overhaul of the education curriculum that we have here. I myself am a living witness to the inefficiency of the current curriculum. Because imagine you would be going to school, let's say junior school, for instance, or senior. They'll be telling you to label the agama lizard. They'll be telling you to label and draw and label the parts of the cockroach. What is paramecium? What is amoeba? All of these all of this has no impact in the future of our education. What we are talking about is to engage young people in STEM, in practical work, in hands-on jobs. This is what we are saying. For instance, you train young people on how to give them an alternative in life in case education do not work for them. They cannot make it to the offices. At least create an alternative in terms of skilled work. Create carpenters out of create welders out of these young people, create electricians out of these young people, like the other countries around our this very country are doing. That is why when a student has or is weak in terms of academia, they can be in a position to develop themselves in terms of skilled works. This is what we are talking about at the Golden Era Party. We need to equip young people with skills from their tender ages. Let them grow with these skills so that there will be no need to seek a new beginning when you realize that you are not that intellectually very strong, so you will
Yeah,
just have to shift to the skill that you have acquired for 12 years. It will be easier for you. It will not be
that's
like you
true.
are seeking a new beginning, but to enhance that which you have the knowledge that which you have acquired from 12 years ago. It is easier. We need people that think from these angles. We need people that understands that this life in its truest nature is evolutionary, and we need to evolve with the changing dynamics of our realities. So this is exactly what the Golden Era Party's agenda on quality education for all is talking about, but not to build classrooms like you will be telling people that you are building 10 classrooms per day, but what is the output of that building? How has that been impactful to the people of this country? Okay, what we are saying is not the infrastructure, but the knowledge that we should be built in the young people of this country is what we are talking about on this very agenda, but not to draw paramecium, amoeba, and the sleeper animalcule that has no use or no meaning to the future of this country. Another one is access to not only access to healthcare, but also affordable healthcare. This should be known to every Tom, Dick, and Harry that healthcare in its truest nature is not a privilege, it's a right of every single individual. Imagine if you can only get your health with your wealth, and the government is not creating an avenue that will give you an individual wealth. How so can we be that if one falls sick, the individual would walk out of that sickness scratch free? So what we are saying is we need to create a healthcare system that would suit the needs of our people, that would reflect on the health requirements or the health dreams of our people. We need to create care centers for our people. We need to train more nurses. We need to train more doctors. We need to create enticement mechanisms that will keep our nurses and our doctors in this country to run our healthcare system. You would see in terms of election when a certain political party would tell you we have raised 3, 4, 5 million dollars towards our campaign. But you go to the hospital, there is only a single dialysis machine in that hospital. When you see the need to raise monies for T-SATs, Benetins, and Gelegiles, why can't you raise money for beds in the hospitals? Why can't you raise money for drugs in the hospitals? Why can't you raise money for enough beds in our hospitals? This is a question that we ought to ask ourselves as citizens, home and abroad. We also have seen the scandals that nobody took responsibility of. This, for instance, the 66 babies that died due to um, a scandalous drug case. Nobody took responsibility. Nobody was held accountable for those deaths. The monies that we would gather during elections, if they were wisely invested in our healthcare sector, we would have no need or little need to travel out of this country when it comes to a terrible health crisis. So that is also an agenda that we have. We also look to agriculture among our golden nine agendas. What we know here, we would say year in, year out, our soil is fertile. We engage into agriculture, but we would still import agricultural products from countries whom we have more fertile soil than, like Senegal. Um, Vegetables like pepper, cabbage, carrot, cucumber, and all of that are all imported from Senegal when we have a more fertile soil than Senegal themselves. Is that not an irony? Where can you explain that? Who will grasp an understanding that a country whose soil is as fertile as that of the Gambia is importing agricultural products from Senegal? So we intend to dull this notion of importation. We need to end it. So our agenda is here to create an army of think tanks that will end the importation of agricultural products into this country. What we brought forward, what we proceed in our agricultural agenda is to mechanize agriculture, create drilling system, irrigation system that we would have not to depend on only the rainy seasons in order to be able to guarantee ourselves a meaningful yield in the end of a planting season. So all of these are among our nine golden agendas. But for the purpose of this discussion, I intend to be brief. And if you would wish, we can further continue more. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. I think you have really lamented on key areas that is needed to be our focus, which is agriculture, education, um, and then health, and then I think those are key. So perhaps we can the other areas, we can touch on those briefly. But I like the idea that we should be moving. I think that's new skill works, and then not talking about amoeba. What would amoeba do for us, or some triangle, some parallelisms or
But
whatever. We all learned that, and it never benefit us. So I think I never even see amoeba before.
yeah,
I think
definitely, I've never seen it before.
I think that is a change. That is a change that is needed. If you look at our
Imagine
book,
you would
if I
imagine
look
you
at
would ask your teacher, where is amoeba? They will tell you, no, it's a microorganism. You cannot see it unless if you use a
yeah,
microscope.
and then
And
the funny thing is you have to go and memorize all the components of
the
amoeba.
parts, and you will
The-
label all of them come exam.
I'm pretty sure Sam also learned.
Yeah.
Everybody has to go through that. It's unfortunate. So
Definitely, with all honesty, we need a total overhaul of our system. We
yeah,
need to we need to create a future where each and every child can depend on
the
themselves in
only
the absence of.
the only feedback I will give you I think you guys can streamline if you want to be more effective on these 9 points. You can even make it 3 points if you want to do that, because all the
yeah,
political parties will come up with something, but you have to really develop this. If it's going to be 3 points, or even two, you have to develop it in a way that it can change the country by by putting in so many components to it. Because if you put nine and you end up not being effective for covering all of them, then you're still
yeah,
gonna be like end up like this government, who is there
definitely.
say infrastructure development that has never served us
Yeah,
well. The roads that they started working on start crumbling. Um, the schools they are building 10 classrooms a day or whatever it is has not haven't created any input. So as long as these things are not measurable and then they are not being quantified, it's still the productivity is still off. So I think it's not about the number of points agenda like CA, Citizen Alliance
yeah.
came with a 10-point agenda, which they said UDP stole that from them. I mean, I don't know how true that was.
Family.
I hope you guys didn't take it from any other political party. But I'm gonna stop here. Some of my co-hosts will come in. But yeah, if my recommendation will be streamline it to few and kind of develop it in a way that is sellable and can be quantified once those measures are implemented, and you can prove that to the
Yeah,
voters. Yeah, thank you,
right.
Sam.
Thank you.
Yep, yep. So, Mr. Jatta, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time, and really very, very, very important that you talked about a lot of good things out there, and I think it's very important for our country. If we look at the country in Gambia as a whole, I think there's a lot that need to be done. Um, we really need to look at our country seriously, and talk about what can be done to move our country forward, because Gambia is a very small country, and we really need to do a lot more to move our country forward. So I appreciate you talking about your agenda items. Those are very important things, and I think it's very, very, very important to look at the agenda, and talk about what's important to our country. I know we have a lot of political parties, and everybody have their own agenda. Agenda is an agenda, and the most important thing is who is going to fulfill their agenda, who is going to come in power and look at their agenda and do what they promise the people that they are going to do. You can have one, two, three, 10, or 15 things on the agenda, as long as you can do them all. That's the most important thing. But don't give um, put so many things on the agenda that you can accomplish. So one of the things that I wanted to ask is, what is the difference between you and all the other political parties? But I think I've heard you said quite a bit. You
Yeah,
lamented on that one to say a little bit more details, gave a little bit more details on that, and I totally agree with you, especially the education sector. Unfortunately, Gambia as a whole, we are way behind time. If you look at since independence, we have there are countries in the world that had independence around about the same time as Gambia, but they've all left us behind. They've all moved forward. Part of the reason we couldn't move forward, or we couldn't be at their level, is because of corruption. It's because of corruption. Corruption is uh, is uh, is what held Gambia behind. What is the plan for your party to end corruption in the Gambia? It's a big deal. It's a big thing, and is our in my eyes, corruption is our number one problem in the country. And I have not seen any political party that
yeah,
has said that this is. They all say the same thing. We're going to end corruption. Well, how are you going to end corruption? That's the key
yeah,
question. You know what I mean? Everybody's going to say, everybody has said that we're going to
yeah,
end
yeah,
corruption, we're going to end this, but how are you going to end it? Because it's been there since independence,
yeah,
and it's really in people's blood right now. Everybody, well, I won't say everybody, but a lot of people getting up in the morning from home and going to work, they go to work, they want to make a deal. They want to make a deal so they can earn extra money to feed their families, to be able to afford the cost of living that they have. Even though I also know that in Gambia, a lot of people also don't cut their coat according to their size. They don't live within their income, in other words. Um, there are people whose salary is less than 10,000, but their expenses are 15,000 a month or more. So, and that is going to force them to find other ways of getting money. And this is where we get in problem, and then this is where people get in trouble. But how are we going to end corruption is important. Do you guys have a plan for corruption?
yeah, sure. Okay, thank you very much, Sam. But we, from a party perspective, we must first establish what informs corruption in our system and what qualifies the corruption. What do we determine? What sort of an act do we determine as corruption? From there, we can also think what kind of mechanisms do we put in place to suppress, subdue, and subjugate corruption and hold people accountable for acts of corruption which are already established. So, from our party's perspective, we have a policy called good governance and the rule of law. And in this policy, we did vow that in our first 100 days, we would establish an anti-corruption committee for corruption and also empower and trigger the Anti-Corruption Act of 2019. This our party intends to do when we are elected into office. Now, in as much as it is important to end corruption, to fight corruption, to subdue or limit corruption, there is need to have a broader understanding of what informs and also the impediments that impede on one to establish an act to be qualified as corrupt. Now we use our own systems, professional administrative procedures to do an act of corruption when which we cannot trace, which we cannot qualify to be corruption. This is what the extent of the power of our state based on the 1997 constitution. It is easy for them to keep corruption out of the understanding of the public. So to fight corruption, first of all, like I initially highlighted, is to establish an anti-corruption commission to look into acts of corruption and also trigger the 2019 Anti-Corruption Act to hold each and every individual that is found wanting for acts of corruption from at every level of governance, from the top to the bottom, or vis-a-vis from the bottom to the top. Now that is how you fight corruption. You don't just selectively fight corruption at levels of governance, but you create a system that will force people, civil servants, the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature to act in a certain way. You must create a route for all of them, each and every um, member of government to pass, to move through a certain route in order to suppress corruption. But the systems that we have now is created in such a way that it will be difficult to establish this. But when we, as a party, triggers our that policy agenda, which is to strengthen and trigger the 2019 Anti-Corruption Act and establish a corruption commission in our first 100 days, then we will be more informed as to um, what next do we do to completely end corruption. For us, in essence, to fight corruption is to establish an anti-corruption commission and also fully trigger and losing the 2019 anti-corruption. But that too is also
Oh,
open to enhancement from professional perspectives, from intellectual perspectives. That is the beauty of our party. We are open to all recommendations. If our systems to fight a certain act which does not sit well with the progress of our country, that there is a thinker out there who thinks this is a way that can suppress or aid in the fight against corruption, we would also welcome that to strengthen the agenda that we had. So,
Sam.
All right, all right. Well, thank you, thank you. Yep. It's like I said earlier. I look at Gambia as a very vulnerable country when it comes to corruption because it's going in different routes, different ways, from different levels. And any party coming, if I have any question for any party coming, my number one question to every party leader will be, how are you going to end corruption? Because to me, that's our number one problem. And if anybody asks me, for example, today, I think with the level of corruption in our country, with the level of corruption in Africa in general, every serious party leader really need to think about, not only think about, but come up with ideas and solutions to end corruption. I have a strong belief that if we don't end corruption in our country, we will find ourselves in more serious problems because our debt is going up and up and up. We are borrowing what we cannot pay, more than what we can pay. Current government expenses right now, and this current government has borrowed more money than Drammeh and Jawara combined. President Jawara has been there for 30 years, going to 31. Drammeh was in power for 22 good years, going to 23. If you combine those two, that's about 53 years worth of governance or government, or 53 years worth of administration. And President Barrow borrowed more money in 8 years, more than the 53 years of their government. That is a sad nation. And that is very serious. It's bad for our country. It doesn't take us anywhere but in trouble. So I worry about our country. This is our country, and anybody that loves our country, loves the Gambia, loves your country, will be thinking along that line. And that's why I said the number one problem we have is corruption. If we don't end corruption, corruption may end Gambia, and put Gambia in the hands of the Chinese or some other countries, because we're going to get to a point where we will have more death than what the country is worth. So, God forbid, I hope we don't get there, but we're heading in that direction. So that's why my number one concern is corruption. And every single person, every political party leader should think about and come up with ideas, not just say, when we get to power, we're going to sit and think about corruption. Well, they should already think about that because it's been there for 60 years. Corruption has been in the country since independence, right? So everybody should have that. If I were to ask anybody, just like if anyone were to ask me, anybody can wake me up from a sleep at 3 a.m. and you ask me, how do you end corruption in the Gambia? I am not going to look at any book. I am not going to look at any paper. I am not going to look at any article, and I will tell you. I can tell you how it's going to end, how we can end it, because the idea is something that we should all be thinking already. Idea is something that should be in our heads. It's not about the law. The anti-corruption bill has been in went to National Assembly, and like you said, since 2019 or 2020, 2020. Now we're 2025. We're almost going to 2026. The bills, the laws are not helping us. because we already seen
definitely.
all the laws in our country. There are so many laws there that are not being enforced. You know what I mean? We have people that are
Yeah,
supposed to be enforcing our laws actually breaking the laws, and they're not being held
yeah.
accountable. So adding another
Honestly,
law to anti-corruption and having that, I said this when they put the anti-corruption bill out. They said there's going to be anti-corruption bill. The first thing I said is, if we don't change our attitudes, that anti-corruption bill is not going to change us. It's not going to do anything. It's
yeah,
just going to be another law that's out there, just like all the other laws that they are not following. So someone
okay,
need to come with a
so
hammer and a fist and put their foot
yeah,
down and do a better job in controlling corruption. So that's why I
definitely.
brought that up. But I'm running out of
Yeah,
time. I have to be
me,
in another meeting, but I wanted to thank you though for being here today. Um,
yeah,
your time is very valuable, and I wish you and your party all the best. I hope by 2026 that we can have a very good candidate that is going to move this country forward. Thank you. And back to you,
yeah.
Mr.
That will,
Thank you, thank you, thank
yeah,
you. Yeah,
Yeah.
Sam
that,
has definitely nailed that part
definitely.
on about corruption, which is really the driving force. But you have put some emphasis on it. The only thing is
Yeah,
like perhaps we will not have enough time to really look at it in depth. But there are different approach that could be implemented throughout the country. It's a conviction that the political will has to be there. There are some loopholes that need to be closed. There are some of course punishable action that need to be taken for those involved in corruptive behavior, to set an example and deterrent. There are some cash control, use cashless transactions. It's a whole lot of things, and of course
yeah,
raising salaries of employees so that they can meet the needs of their families, of course, and also be able to be dependent on their salary. You cannot pay somebody 5,000 who
yeah,
can has three family members or so, and expect them to pay their rent and then have some money
yeah.
to feed their family. So it's a whole lot of approach. I don't know how
Approach that.
your GEP is looking into this when it comes to corruption, but they have to have a
Yeah,
framework, blueprint that would
yeah. We,
be sellable to the general populace. But as Sam said, we have seen the audit
yeah,
reports of our some of the happenings that happen in this
yeah,
administration. When it comes to many areas that were mishandled. So the government has to be committed and have the political will to fight corruption tooth and nail in order for changes to take place. It's not only about the citizens, but those in political office and higher office in governments
yeah,
and private sectors. Everybody has to be having the will to kind of fight corruptions by having certain system in place. So we will urge you, based on all what you explained here and what Sam said, there's a lot of things that could be implemented from just by our experience and the top of our head, uh, to kind of like deter corruption. And of course, people have to be patriotic too. If you really love your country, and you should be your brother's keeper, you should be your sister's keeper. You should make sure that our collective assets and resources are safeguarded. Like Sam was saying, the kind of debt that were,
yeah,
taken during Barrow's time in 9 years is more than Jammeh and Jawara's 50 years in power. So
yeah,
where is the money going? I mean, what has it created? You know, these are some of the areas that we have to look at as well. So
yeah,
all these things, need to be really addressed by a political party like yours, and see how you could be different when it comes to government. It shouldn't be a copy of what already exists. So
Yeah.
these are things that of course, we have to revisit and then perhaps sell it to the general populace.
Uh, yeah, that's right. But
You
need
don't see
need
many.
permit me to.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Say
I
that
just
again.
want yeah, I was to add onto that which you said to broaden our perspective in the matter being discussed. So to understand um, the extent of corruption in this country, to understand the extent of the power of the president that we have, thanks to the 1997 constitution. So there are enough power vested on the head of state that whenever he says jump, someone might say hi. So imagine you having a president that is so powerful that he would appoint the Speaker of the National Assembly, that he will appoint the CJ, that is the Chief Justice of the Judiciary, that will appoint the Minister of Justice himself, that would appoint also that he himself is the head of the executive, and also would appoint the Minister of Foreign Affairs, appoint all other ambassadors across the globe, and then would be responsible to appoint all other, even in terms of devolution, to narrow the powers of central government to the local government. If truly people are objective in understanding how those powers are narrowed to the local government, you will understand that they are directly narrowed to the CEOs of the local government. This is why there is always conflict between the CEOs and the elected mayors and chairmen across our local governance system. So this is how far-reaching the power of the president is, and whatever he determines to be corruption is what would be corruption. Whatever he determines not to be corruption would eventually not be corruption. Evident of which is what has just happened with the Auditor General and what had happened before with the 66 babies that died as a result of the vaccine, and also the Russian oil scandal, the fishing deals between the Gambia and the and the EU, several other scandals that are still hanging. Nobody is held accountable. Nobody is prosecuted for them. Explains who truly is the is the is at the summit of this very act of corruption. So for us, it is equally very concerning as it is to you and many other Gambians out there to fight corruption. But like I said, we need to non-segregatively combat this act of corruption. But first, the powers. The, okay.
No, Sam is
All right.
leaving.
Thank
That's
you.
what he said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Mhm.
Yeah. But first, we need to understand um, that one thing leads to the other. The powers must be limited and also decentralized and be independent. Then this can also empower our efforts, our collective efforts to fight with corruption. Essentially.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And then just to wrap up, I know we have been on the show for like a good coming to an hour.
Yeah.
But let me just give you and task you and your team. It's just a something to throw out there. I know you have young people in your party. I'm pretty sure
Sure. Sure.
you are young, and then your party leader is young, or perhaps your leader I could call, because I don't know if you guys went to Congress and you choose your party leader and flag bearer. But the idea here is like the youth population of the Gambia is about 60 to 70%, and we have seen UMC, who just
Yeah.
that was just created as a movement, and other small parties coming along. Would you guys consider coalition with another party to see to it that we can unseat, you know, President Barrow's government or President Barrow from going for third term? If that is in the plans, Have you started working on that?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. Honestly, the Golden Era Party is open to alliances, but that too, we are not compromising our values as a political establishment. We would go to into an alliance, but with parties that share our values, our vision, and also our mission. It is important to have an alliance to end a long enduring, unrepresented regime, but that too, the post coalition effects must also be um, looked into. So that too, that means you need to reconcile your values as different political parties that are coming into an alliance, and also you need to reconcile your differences as political entities coming into an alliance. Otherwise, we have seen coalitions, especially the 2016 coalition is a perfect example of it. Parties came into an alliance without consideration of their differences and the post electoral consequences and post electoral environment of this country, and how power should be distributed and how governance should be done. Post governance coalition also was not considered. So all of this and many more informs our perspective in terms of forming alliances with any other party. Like I said, we are open to alliances, but the alliances must rest on our values as a political entity. This is because it is our fondest belief as a political entity that the values, the vision, and also um, the policies that we have developed are not of ours, are of the Gambian people. So what we are trying to put across is we are not compromising with the wishes and aspirations of the Gambian people in terms of forming alliance, but we are open to forming.
Okay, perfect. And you haven't started the talks yet.
Yeah, you know, it is a ripe moment for political parties to talk about alliances and coalitions in the eve of political year. So this we've had approaches, but we need to be at pole position to be able to have weight on the alliance discussion table. We need to at least have a worthy um, seat on that table to be able to also proceed our views, our vision on that alliance talking table. But as of now, we are building, we are also engaging people, we are also calling on people to see reason in our party's agenda so that we can come together, form a single powerful force in order to be able to stand a pole position in also making meaningful discussions on the alliance table. But for now, we think it is too infant for us to engage into any um, alliance discussion. But we are and always will be open.
And then are
But
you guys registered? You guys are registered, right?
yeah, that is also a factor that is mediating into this reluctance to be into an alliance. We have for the past 3 months um, tendered all our documents and all requisite documents and payments with the IEC. But the responses that we are getting is they are still vetting our documents. It's been 3 months now, but then they just give us a hint that okay they will be done with it because 2 days ago they've just approved a new political party. I think they are doing it based on rank and sequence, so we will be expecting ours anytime from now. But we are with our lawyer, together with our lawyer, we have all the required documents in place. It's already for, for
And who's your
to
flag? Who's your party leader?
our party leader is His Excellency
Sekou?
Sekou Sawo.
Okay. And then Sekou, I believe is resident of the Gambia, right?
Yeah, he was born in the Gambia and was educated in the Gambia. He's a native of Sukuta, but originally from Badibu. Um, he did his A level and O level in this country. He graduated from SOS Haman Minor Senior Secondary School as a top student, and As a result of that, he got a merit-based scholarship to the US, where he did his bachelor's, also master's, and then joined the US Army. He's a veteran of the US Army, then tech expert who established a lot of tech businesses in the United States of America. SBGVX is one of his businesses in the United States of America. Then 6 years ago, he came back to the Gambia. He relocated again back to the Gambia. When he came back, he did not only stop at complaining that the problems of this country are compiling, but what he did is to establish his own business. And also from there, after 5 years, he has employed over 50 Gambians with a minimum wage. This is the kind of leader that we need, that we also understand that there is a need to create a minimum wage in our governance system so that this would also, to some extent, dull the endless acts of corruption in our government somewhat. So this is how our party leader essentially is also a philanthropist who has also helped several women and youth-based projects, also supported a lot of educational initiative and sponsored a lot of young people to further their education tertiary institutions in this country. And all of this at a very low tone, which is not blown with a trumpet.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So that's good. So I'm gonna, ask you for your final words, so that we can wrap this up. I know we have 1 hour, and then what you want our audience to hear. We've seen one guy called Dylan Jim Sala, saying that Comrade Jatta are the mouthpiece of great GEP. So you have the links. You can share it with your party members so they can see this session of the show.
Yeah.
What would be your final take?
Yeah. My final take would be to call on every Gambian, young and old, woman or God, to see reason for what it is, to see the need for a new government for what it is, to not be emotional, but to be objective, and to know that which they are feeling at every part of the world, thanks to this current government, is the same that this party is feeling, and we share their emotions, their cries, their frustrations. And this is the reason why we call on each and every one of them to join with us, to partner with us, to bring about the Gambia we want. It's achievable, it is doable, we can do it. But GEP cannot do it alone. And the Gambian people, as non-partisan or Gambians who abstain themselves or undecided people, cannot do it alone. But we can do it as a united force when we bring our ideas together, when we bring our frustrations together, when we bring our dreams, our wishes and aspirations together, we can realize the Gambia we want. So this is exactly what the GEP is calling on each and every well-meaning Gambian home and abroad to join our cause, join our struggle, to join our fight, to end this hollow of governance that we are having, to fill it up with our wishes, with our dreams, with our hope. We should come together as a people to bind up our nation's wounds. This is what I have to say.
Thank you so much. Keep up the good work, and we wish you all the best and all the success.
Thank you very much, Doctor. It's indeed a pleasure to be
It
here
was a
and
pleasure.
also
Keep it up.
an
Yeah.
opportunity. Thank you very
Thank,
much.
thank you. And next, you're gonna link us with your party leader, um,
Sure.
so that we can also have him on the show. That would be another important, episode. Yeah, don't forget to share the link. I share it on our private chat. Thank you so much.
All right then. We'll be there. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you
All right.
again.
Take care.